that I might have an opportunity of meeting you.
That certainly seems satisfactory.
Yes, dear, if you can believe him.
I don't. But that does not affect the wonderful beauty of his answer.
True, in matters of grave importance, style, not sincerity, is the vital thing. Mr. Worthing, what explanation can you offer to me for pretending to have a brother? Was it so that you might come to town more often to see me?
Can you doubt it, Miss Fairfax?
I have the gravest doubts upon the subject, but I intend to crush them. This is not the moment for German skepticism.
Your answers appear to be quite satisfactory, especially Mr. Worthing's. His seems to have a stamp of truth upon it. I am more than content with what Mr. Moncrief said. His voice alone inspires one with absolute credulity. Then you think that we should forgive them? Yes. I mean, no.
True. There are principles at stake here that one cannot surrender.
Which of us should be the one to tell them? The task is not a pleasant one. Could we not both speak at the same time?
An excellent idea. I nearly always speak at the same time as other people. Would you like the time to speak?
Certainly.
Your Christian names are still an insuperable barrier. That is all.
Our Christian name? Is that all? We're going to be christened this afternoon. Christened this afternoon.
For me, you are prepared to do this terrible thing?
I am.
To please me, you are ready to face this fearful ordeal?
I am.
So he is well
is that he was found out. The doctors found out that he could not live. That is what I mean. So Bunbury died.
Bunbury seems to have had great confidence in the opinion of his physician. I am glad, however, that he made up his mind at the last to some definite course of action and acted under proper medical advice. Now that we have got rid of this Mr. Bunbury, may I ask Mr. Worthing, who is that young person whose hand my nephew is now holding in what seems to me a peculiarly unnecessary manner?
That lady is Miss Cecily Cardew, my ward.
I am engaged to be married to Cecily, Aunt Augusta.
I beg your pardon.
Mr. Moncrief and I are engaged to be married, Lady Bracknell.
I do not know whether there is anything peculiarly exciting in the air of this part of Hertfordshire, but the number of engagements that go on seem to me considerably above the proper average that statistics have laid down for our guidance. I think some preliminary enquiry on my part would not be out of place. Mr. Wood, is Miss Cardew in any way connected with any of the larger railway stations in London? I merely desire information. Until yesterday, I had no idea there were any families or persons whose origin was a terminus.
Miss Cardew is the granddaughter of the late Mr. Thomas Cardew of 149 Belgrave Square, South Wales, Dorking Park, Gervase, and the Sporran, Flintshire, North Britain.
That is not unsatisfactory. Three addresses always inspire confidence, even in tradesmen. But what proof have I of their authenticity?
I have carefully preserved the court guides of the period. They are open to your inspection, Lady Bracknell.
I have known strange errors in that publication.
Yes, but Miss Cardew's family solicitors are Messrs. Markby, and Markby.
Markby, and Markby. A firm of the very highest position in their profession. Indeed, I am told that one of the Mr. Markbys is occasionally to be seen at dinner parties. And so far, I am satisfied.
How very kind of you, Lady Bracknell. I also have in my possession, you will be pleased to hear, the certificates of Miss Cardew's birth, baptism, whooping cough, registration, vaccination, confirmation, and the measles, both the German and the English variety.
Life crowded with incident, I see, though perhaps somewhat too exciting for a young girl. I am not myself in favor of premature experiences. Come, Gwendolyn, the time approaches for our departure, and we have not a moment to lose. As a matter of form, Mr. Worthing, I had better ask you if Miss Cardew has any little fortune?
Oh, about 130,000 pounds in the funds, that's all. So nice to have met you.
A moment, Mr. Worthing. 130,000 pounds? And in the funds? Miss Cardew seems to me a most attractive young lady. Now that I look at her, you girls of the present day have any really solid qualities, any of the qualities that last and improve with time. We live, I regret to say, in an age of surfaces. Come over here, dear. Pretty child, your dress is sadly simple. And your hair is almost as nature might have left it. But we can soon alter all that. A thoroughly experienced French maid produces a really marvelous effect in a very brief space of time. I remember recommending one to young Lady Lansing, and after 3 months her own husband did not know her.
And after 6 months, nobody knew her.
Kindly turn round, sweet child. And no, the side view is what I want. Yes, quite as I expected. There are distinct social possibilities in your profile. The two weak points of our age are its want of principle and its want of profile. The chin a little higher, dear. A style largely depends on the way the chin is worn. They are worn very high just at present. Algernon.
Yes, Aunt Augusta.
There are distinct social possibilities in Miss Cardew's profile.
Cecily is the dearest, sweetest, prettiest girl in the whole world. And I don't care tuppence about social possibilities.
Never speak disrespectfully of society, Algernon. Only people who can't get into it do that. My dear child, of course you realize that Algernon has nothing but his debts to depend upon. But I do not approve of mercenary marriages. When I married Lord Bracknell, I had no fortune of any kind. But I never dreamed for a moment of allowing that to stand in my way. Well, I suppose I must give my consent.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
Cecily, you may kiss me.
Thank you, Lady Bracknell.
And you may also address me as Aunt Augusta for the future.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
The marriage had better take place quite soon, I think.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
To speak frankly, I am not in favor of long engagements. They give people the opportunity of finding out one another's character before marriage, which I think is never advisable.
Pray excuse me, Lady Bracknell, for interrupting, but, well, I'm afraid that this engagement is quite out of the question. I am Miss Cardew's guardian, and she may not marry without my consent until she comes of age. That consent I decline to give.
Upon what grounds, may I ask? Algernon is an extremely, I may almost say ostentatiously eligible young man. He has nothing, but he looks everything. What more can one desire?
It pains me, Lady Bracknell, to speak frankly about your nephew, but I'm afraid that I do not at all approve of his moral character. I suspect him of being untruthful.
Untruthful? My nephew Algernon? Impossible. He is an Oxford man.
Oh, I'm afraid there can be no doubt about the subject. This afternoon, during my temporary absence in London on a very important matter of romance, he obtained admission to my house under the false pretense of being my brother. He also, under an assumed name, drank, I have just been informed by my butler, an entire pint bottle of my Perrier Jouet Brut 89, a wine I was specially reserving for myself. He subsequently stayed for tea and devoured every single muffin. He also succeeded in the course of the afternoon in alienating the affections of my only ward. And what makes his conduct all the more honest is that he knew from the beginning that I have no brother, that I never had a brother, and that I do not intend on ever having a brother, not even of any kind. I told him so myself yesterday afternoon.
Mr. Worthing, after careful consideration, I have decided entirely to overlook my nephew's conduct to you.
That is very kind of you, Lady Bracknell. However, my own decision stands. I refuse to give my consent.
Come here, dear. How old are you?
Well, I am really only 18, but I always admit to 20 when I go to evening parties.
And you are perfectly right in making some slight alteration. Indeed, no woman should ever be quite accurate about her age. It looks so calculating. 18, but admitting to 20 at evening parties. Oh, well, it will not be long before you are of age and free from the restraints of tutelage. So I don't think your guardian's consent is, after all, a matter of any importance.
Pray excuse me again, Lady Bracknell, for interrupting you. But I feel it my duty to tell you that, according to the terms of her grandfather's will, Miss Cardew does not come legally of age until she is 35.
of the very highest birth who have, of their own free will, remained 35 for years. Lady Dumbleton is an instance in point. To my own knowledge, she has been 35 ever since she arrived at the age of 40, which has been many years now. I see no reason why our dear Cecily should not be even still more attractive at the age you mentioned than she is at present. There will be a large accumulation of property there.
Algy, could you wait for me till I was 35?
Of course I could, Cecily.
Yes, I felt it instinctively. But I couldn't wait all that time. I can't bear waiting even 5 minutes for anyone. It always makes me rather cross. I'm not punctual myself, I know. But I do like punctuality in others and waiting. Even to be married is quite out of the question.
Then what are we to do, Cecily?
I don't know, Mr. Moncrief.
My dear Mr. Worthing, as Miss Cardew states positively that she cannot wait until she is 35, a remark which I am bound to say indicates a somewhat impatient nature, I would beg of you to reconsider your decision.
But my dear Lady Bracknell, the decision is entirely up to you. As soon as you consent to my marriage with Gwendolyn, I will most happily allow your nephew to form an alliance with my ward.
You must realize that what you propose is out of the question.
Then a passionate celibacy is all that any of us can look forward to.
That is not the destiny I propose for Gwendolyn. Algernon, of course, can decide for himself. Come, Gwendolyn, we've already missed 5, if not 6 trains. To miss any more might expose us to comment on the platform.
Everything is quite ready for the christenings.
Christening, sir? Is not that somewhat premature?
Both of these gentlemen have expressed a desire for immediate baptism.
Their age? The idea is grotesque and irreligious. Algernon, I forbid you to be baptized. Lord Bracknell would be highly displeased if he found that that was the way in which you wasted your time and money.
Am I to understand that there are to be no christenings this afternoon?
I'm afraid that under the circumstances, that would not be very profitable for either of us.
I am grieved to hear you say such sentiments, Mr. Worthing. They savor the heretical views of the Anabaptists, views which I have completely refuted in 4 of my unpublished sermons. However, as your present mood seems to be one particularly secular, I shall return to the church at once. Indeed, I have just been informed by the pew opener that for the past hour and a half, Miss Prism has been waiting for me in the vestry.
Miss Prism? Did I hear you mention a Miss Prism?
Yes, Lady Bracknell. I'm on my way to join her now.
Pray allow me to detain you for a moment. This matter may prove to be one of vital importance to Lord Bracknell and myself. Is this Miss Prism a female of repellent aspect, remotely connected with education?
She is very cultured of ladies, the very picture of respectability.
It is obviously the same person. May I ask what position does she hold in your household?
I am a celibate, madam.
Miss Prism, Lady Bracknell, has been for the past 3 years Miss Cardew's esteemed governess and valued companion.
Despite what I hear of her, I must see her at once. Let her be sent for.
She approaches. She is now.
I was told you expected me in the vestry, dear Canon. I've been waiting for you there for an hour and 3/4.
Prism. Come here, Prism. Prism, where is that baby? 28 years ago, Prism, you left Lord Bracknell's house, number 104 Upper Grosvenor Street, in charge of a perambulator that contained a baby of the male sex. You never returned. A few weeks later, through the elaborate investigations of the Metropolitan Police, the perambulator was discovered at midnight, standing by itself in a remote corner of Bayswater. It contained the manuscript of a 3-volume novel of more than usually revolting sentimentality, but the baby was not there. Prism, where is that baby?
Lady Bracknell, I admit with shame that I do not know. I only wish I did. The plain facts of the case are these. On the morning of the day you mentioned, a day that is forever branded on my memory, I prepared as usual to take the baby out of its perambulator. I had also with me a somewhat old but capacious handbag in which I had intended to place the manuscript of a work of fiction which I had written during my few unoccupied hours. In a moment of mental abstraction, for which I never can forgive myself, I placed the manuscript in the perambulator, and the baby in the handbag.
But where did you place the handbag?
Do not ask me, Mr. Worthing.
Miss Prison, this is a matter of no small importance to me. I insist on knowing where you put the handbag.
I left it in one of the larger railway stations in London.
Which railway station?
Victoria, the Brighton line.
I must retire to my room for a moment. You will wait for me here.
I will wait for you here forever, if you are not too long.
What do you suppose it means, Lady Bracknell?
I dare not even suspect, Dr. Chasuble. I need hardly tell you that in families of high position, strange coincidences are not supposed to occur. They are hardly considered the thing.
Uncle Jack seems strangely agitated.
Your guardian is of a somewhat emotional nature.
This noise is most unpleasant. It sounds as if he was having an argument. I dislike arguments of any kind. They are always vulgar and often convincing.
Just stop now.
I wish you would arrive at some conclusion.
That is terrible. I do hope it will continue.
Is this the handbag? Examine it carefully before you answer it. The happiness of more than one life depends on your answer.
Yes, it seems to be mine. Yes, here's the injury that happened during the upsetting of a gallant street omnibus in younger and happier days. Here is the stain on the lining caused by the explosion of a temperance beverage. And here on the lock are my initials. Oh, I had forgotten that in extravagant mood I had them placed there. The bag is undoubtedly mine. I am delighted to have it so unexpectedly restored to me. It has been a great inconvenience being without it all these years.
More has been restored to you than the handbag. I was the baby you placed in it.
You?
Yes. Mother! Cannot an act of repentance wipe out an act of folly? Why should there be one rule for men and another for women? I forgive you, Mother.
Worthing, there is some error. Where is the woman who can tell you who you really are?
Lady Bracknell. I hate to seem inquisitive, but could you please tell me who I am?
I am afraid the news I have to give you will not altogether please you. You are the son of my poor sister, Mrs. Moncrief, and consequently, Algernon's elder brother.
Gwendolyn, my unfortunate brother. Now, to you young scoundrel, you will have to treat me with more respect from now on. You've never treated me like a brother in all your life.
Well, not till today, old man. Not until today, old boy, I admit. But I did my best, however, though I was out of practice.
My own! But what own are you? What is your Christian name now that you have become someone else?
Good heavens, almost forgotten about that. I suppose your decision on my name is unalterable?
I never change, except in my affections.
What a noble nature you have, Gwendolyn.
Then the matter had best be cleared up right away. Oh, Aunt Augusta, a moment, please. At the moment that Miss Prism left me in the handbag, had I been christened already?
Every luxury that money could buy, including christening, had been lavished upon you by your fond and doting parents.
Then I had been christened, that is settled. But, what name was I given? Let me know the worst.
Being the eldest son, you were naturally christened after your father.
Yes, of course, but what was my father's Christian name?
I cannot at the present moment recall what the general's Christian name was. But I have no doubt he had one. He was eccentric, I admit, but only in later years, and that was the result of the Indian climate and marriage and indigestion and other things of that kind.
But Algernon, don't you recall what my father's Christian name was?
My dear boy, we were never even on speaking terms. He died before I was a year old.
Well, his name would appear in the army list of the period, I suppose, Aunt Augusta.
The general was essentially a man of peace, except in his domestic life. But I have no doubt his name would appear in any military directory.
Military records for the last 40 years are here. These delightful records have been my constant study. Here we are, and generals. Malum, Maxball, Magu. What gospel names they have. Markby, Migsby, Mar. Oh, here we are. Moncrief, Lieutenant, 1840. Colonel, Lieutenant, Colonel. Yeah, General, 1869. Christian names, Earnest John. Gwendolyn, I always told you my name was Earnest. Well, it turns out that my name really is Earnest. I mean, it naturally is Earnest.
Yes, now I recall that the general was called Earnest. I knew I had some particular reason for disliking that name.
Ernest, my own Ernest. I always felt quite sure that your name was Ernest.
Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn, it is a terrible thing for a man to find out suddenly that all his life he has been speaking nothing but the truth. Can you forgive me?
I can, for I feel sure that you're about to change. Frederick, at last.
Cecily, at last.
Gwendolyn, at last.
My nephew, you seem to be displaying signs of triviality.
On the contrary, Aunt Augusta, for the first time in my life, I have finally realized the vital importance of being earnest.